It's like in Warcraft, right? Space Snail, Astro Snail.
Is the first mount in the
Astro
game?
Snail is like your basic mount. You start out with Astro Snail, and then you upgrade to like Astro Lizard, and then you get like Astro Komodo Dragon.
Part of the game now.
It's just going to be a
An
snail?
astroneer in a bandana and like a cowboy hat riding a space snail.
If you need a previs,
Yeah.
I already made it for you.
What is actually happening right now?
500 milliseconds of lag.
Also physics and fighting. Fighting, physics, and
So
lag.
we are introducing a new kind of joint between vehicles, ditching the old bungee cord style.
Yes.
And so now there's a more stable, rigid connection,
This is intentional.
but a stable, rigid connection when the network simulation is not stable results in a stable connection between very unstable vehicles.
So you didn't make a space bull riding simulator.
I mean,
Well, you know, bugs can become features.
ship it.
Very nice. Andrew, what do you think about this?
I think
This was
it's
his idea.
driving quite well.
Hola, senor.
Hey man,
What's going on over here?
I am looking at our resource colors.
Yes, we've talked about this before. I know this is a work in progress, but
Yeah, it will be for a long time.
Yes, but I think it would be interesting to at least show some progress and like where your mind's at on this.
Yeah, so we've just been taking the time to actually focus on the colors of the resources to ensure, as much as we need them to represent the colors of the real life counterparts. There's been some comments online that we've seen about that. It's a thing that we've felt about pretty strongly about wanting to address as well. So while I've got the chance to, the last few weeks I've just been looking at resource colors and running through there. And just seeing how the effect that they have on the game and how it feels. An example is malachite. It's actually green in the real world, and malachite turns into copper as one of the minerals that can do that. So malachite should be green.
Right. I mean, it has traces of copper in it. There's a whole other thing.
Right. Yeah. We could look at other minerals with stronger traces of it, but for us, it's malachite. Malachite's a really cool green color, so we wanted it in the game. But the version that you're having in the game now that players are playing is not green at all. So that's just an example of where we want to look at that. I think the change that players will notice the most, or notice immediately, is the swap in resin and compound, our two main resin-based resources. So if you look at resin in the real world, it's got like a white with some orange and brown in there. And compound is a resource that we sort of fictionalize for ourselves for Astroneer. So in the current game, resin is like a purple color and compound is that white color. And in reality, if we wanted to do those color schemes, they should be swapped. So with that opportunity, we just went and looked at resin again and looked at compound and what they might look like. So compound, since it's a fictionalized resource for us, we swapped it over to like the purple tone and then went a little bit further blue with it. So it looks really good in a backpack when it's being compared with resin, which you can see in my backpack here. So in the field, and never mind the size, this is just something that I do, just get a lot of them on screen at once to see what it looks like. Or the volume, I should say. But yeah, so they sort of, compound ends up switching over to this blue color. And resin, if I can find some, I think I took a little peek earlier. There's some over here. So resin ends up becoming this sort of off-white yellow color, which again, if you're somebody that plays our game and you're wondering to yourself, hey, I wonder what resin is really like, or I wonder what this certain resource is really like, aluminum, copper, malachite, lithium, hydrogen, things like that, that the colors represent that. So when a player sees resin for the first time, it should feel and look like resin, and at least from the color side, and that's important to us. So now it has that color to it. The nuggets come in at that color, and with compound being blue, when it's in the backpack view, they should contrast each other pretty nicely, like they currently do in the game. So I think as a player that's been playing along Astroneer for a while, that'll be one of the bigger changes that comes through, and certainly the most noticeable right away. But the goal there is to come at it from the real world examples. Now, whether or not those are the two final colors that's TBD as we sort of move through. But that just kind of shows the way that we're thinking about these things and the changes that might come to the game. More drastically, which should have been in the game at launch, is the idea that copper and aluminum feel a little separate. Aluminum feel separately from each other, and they don't right now. If you look at them in the game side by side, they pretty much look like the same resource. So at least now with copper and aluminum, they look a little bit more metallic. They certainly have the color scheme that you might be used to with those two things. And then again in the backpack, when you have our two metals, they are noticeably discernible. Yeah, so that's really what we're working on here. But I think it's important to talk about that now because the goal with Astroneer is, especially through the development, whenever we can get a chance. In fact, we had a big discussion about it today. Is if we can be inspired by this idea of science-based learning, where somebody's playing our game, they see something that they know to be from the real world, that they should be able to look up and educate themselves about it, and kind of see where our inspirations come from. And that's why it doesn't make sense for resin to be purple. Although resin can be any color. You can take resin and turn it into any color, but typically, naturally, when it comes out, from what we've seen, it's that sort of off-white yellow color. So as an example, laterite and malachite got a color update. So now malachite has that green tinge to it, which is what it should, and that actually turns into copper. So this will become this when you smelt it. So I think, there's an argument, because we've talked about color changes before, that perhaps malachite should be orange as well because it turns into this other orange thing. And there is reasons for that, but or compelling reasons for that. But I think for us, for our approach, we want malachite to look like what malachite might look like should somebody want to research about it. And same thing with copper. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're approaching it from this way.
And also, like, you can take liberties, right? Like, it doesn't have to be exactly spot on. And even something I mentioned earlier, which is like malachite traditionally in the real world doesn't necessarily like smelt to copper. It has copper
Correct.
in it,
right?
But we're sort of using that idea that copper is in it to, take the artistic license to just like make a decision there because it looks compelling and cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's reasonably, it's the right way to go, right? Like, especially like, somebody sees malachite, copper ore, okay, I understand that. They look it up. Yeah, that's really it. It's just sort of, these are the sort of things that we're thinking about now that the players should expect in future updates. Changes like this, while drastic, are super important for just a goal that we have of Astroneer, is to encourage anybody should anybody feel encouraged to look up these things for themselves, that they can see some correlation between the choices we've made and the liberties we've taken versus the real life counterparts of these things.
Yep. Cool. Sounds good. This looks great.
Yeah, it's and we still want to have like bright and vibrant colors, nothing too dull. This is a work in progress. It'll be a while before players get their hands on this one.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple hurdles because like you have to sort of think about these resources in every environment and on every planet and underground and above ground and all that sort of stuff. So there's all that like play testing that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
But it's cool to see the changes in their base state right now. Cool,
man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Too late.
Now I have to do it again.
The moment's over. Joe.
No.
It's gone.
We need a hearty thumbs up. Okay, that was pretty hearty.